Sabah everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the KaiOS running Alcatel Go Flip 4. This smartphone shows us a lot of updates from last year. We're running the latest edition of KaiOS 3.0. Not only that, we finally have USB-C on the Alcatel Go Flip series. So it's not always about glowing rectangle type of smartphones. Let's talk about flip phones and what they can offer us in 2021. This is TK and this is the Alcatel Go Flip 4. Like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified to whenever we have new videos on the channel. And here we have the entire package. The box is pretty simple. We have the Alcatel Go Flip 4 phone. Here it is. Again, this is the 2021 edition, and I did include some of these stickers that Alcatel or TCL was nice enough to send me. And of course, if you probably follow me on the social medias, I'm sure you guys have already seen this. We do have a charger here, a US style charger, USB Type A. They include a USB-C to USB Type A cable to charge our device. Since we now actually use the USB-C port, we no longer use micro USB that we used last year on the Go Flip 3 that was also released in the US on different carriers. We have of course, the instruction manual, terms and conditions, and of course, safety and regulatory information. All of this stuff is pretty much standard. Now, before we go too far, TCL was nice enough to send me also the TCL Move Audio S600, which I've actually been using with the brand new Go Flip 4. The big difference, of course, is the ability of getting some of the best audio experiences, even though we're using a flip phone in 2021 that also supports a headphone jack. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Now, to start off, first and foremost, we want to talk about what are some of the main differences between last year's Go Flip 3 and this year's Go Flip 4. The version of KaiOS has been updated from 2.0 or 2.5 to basically KaiOS 3.0. Now, when we're looking at the front panel, we notice that the material did change. It's a little bit more of a bluish tint. We also notice, of course, is that the display is pretty much similar in size. The cameras are still the same, 2 megapixel cameras that are basically mounted on the back. There is no other cameras. On the back, we have the backfiring speaker, same thing, the grill is open in the back. And we can definitely see a little bit of a difference in size because it actually does have a little bit more, a thicker backing to it. The reason behind that, it actually supports a bigger battery. We went up from 1350 milliamperes here on the Go Flip 3 to the 1850 milliampere here, which definitely should give you, a week plus battery life here when we talk about battery life. And of course, the battery USB-C here that we have on the side that's moving over from the micro USB, headphone jack still sitting in the same spot, volume rocker still in the same position. And both of these smartphones still feature toolless expansion or opening, meaning I can actually use my nail right here. You can see there's a little bit of a groove. I can grab it here, go straight to the left, and I can actually open up the entire backing, remove it. Now, as I mentioned to you guys, the battery here is bigger from what we had last year at about approximately 500 extra milliamperes. We can put in our SIM card here on the top left, as well as our SD card, and it supports up to 32 gigabytes of SD support card here. So 512 gigs of RAM and 2 gigabytes of internal storage, expandable with the 16 gig card. Very much a similar experience to what we got here last year. And again, you can replace the battery. And then to close it up, you pretty much just put the case back in and then snap it at the top, all 4 corners, and you're pretty much set. Now, when we look at both of these devices, we'll notice a couple of things. A, the actual back or the flip itself opens up a little bit more on the Go Flip 4. You notice it actually has a little bit higher. This one just goes up a little bit further to the back. So when you're holding it I have it on the table, it's a little bit more sturdy. The other thing, the display size is pretty much the same. We're still looking at basically a 2.8-inch display. The Snapdragon 215 is here running on the new 4 as opposed to the Snapdragon 210 from last year. And again, KaiOS 3.0 over KaiOS 2.0. The cameras themselves, 2 megapixel sensors all the way on the back, pretty much the same. We're going to be getting basically the best resolution is going to be 480p video resolution in 3GP. We have Wi-Fi calling, 4G LTE, great battery life, as well as hotspot on both of these. Clicking the home button here takes us into the inside of the app drawer or kind of like the configuration section. Overall, as far as the connection, what you can do here, it only runs 4G LTE. There is no 5G support on either one of these guys. And again, both of them support SD cards. And of course, both look very similar, although the new Go Flip 4 is ever so slightly bigger to accommodate the bigger battery. Again, 500 milliampere extra, and of course the external display still works perfectly. Now, some of the main shortcuts that we have here on the right side from the dial in the middle, we get the access to the camera, the video. Again, you can jump into the settings, customize the experience. Under camera resolution, you just have high, standard, or low, and it's pretty much the same experience that we have here over on the actual video. So if I switch over to video and I go into options, same thing, high, medium, high, standard, and low. And the best is going to be 480p. I will mention though that we do have those additional 3 new buttons that we have here that we did not have on the original Go Flip, and that gives us access to use the back button, access to text messages, as well as our favorite contacts directly within here. We still have access to speed dial, but it's definitely nice to see that it's not only a little bit bigger, but we added additional functionalities here. Swiping from the left, we have access to the shortcuts. We have access obviously here to the Kai Store, so that's KaiOS Store, the internet browser, as well as Google Search and Google Maps and YouTube. Unfortunately, we do not have the Google Assistant. That's one feature that has not been ported over yet. And of course, we also have some missing applications. We'll talk a little bit more about the compatibility with KaiOS 3.0 over what we've had in the past. Hit back or end takes us back home. Enter takes us into the apps, or essentially what we have as far as options. So we have the Kai Store, contacts, call log, messages, obviously Kai Weather. This is updates over your network. The browser itself, access to the games, and of course the gallery application, camera application. One more time, here is the utilities that we have included: clock, Google Search, the settings tabs, of course Google Maps, the music player if you load up music on here, which I actually did load up some of my songs in here. So let's say here most played, like I loaded some State of Trance and so on, and you can use the headphone jack, or as I've been doing again with the S600 from TCL. Then from there we can also go into calendar, YouTube, email. I did log in with my Gmail in here, and the really nice thing about this is once you log into Gmail into the email app, it logs you into Gmail into YouTube, Google Maps, as well as Google Search. So all of the Google services that you're able to access through here will automatically sync up with whichever email account you log in there. And as you can see there, it'll open up emails even if they're HTML, and you're able to read them and interact with links directly within the app. Hit the back button a couple of times and you're back into the main app drawer. We have access to an FM radio, and you do need to have a wired headset connected to this. Unfortunately, USB-C will not work. And for that option, that's one of the things I did not see in the box. There was no headsets included in here, but you do need to use a wired headset for that to work. The Notes application, video player for any videos that you record with the app. Of course, we have a file manager, news for aggregate information available. And of course, we have TweetFit here. This is the Twitter application supported directly within KaiOS. And last but not least is the nice little podcast app that I like to play, which is PodLP. And you're able to basically log in, listen to any kind of podcasts that are listed there. Perfectly for me with this, because once you start a podcast, and let's say you're listening to something, let's go ahead and start up, let's say here, the Global Podcast News, and when you take out your headphones, you'll notice that there's the Bluetooth icon with headset at the top, and then at this point you're able to listen to music. And the beautiful thing about it obviously is when you close the phone, it actually still runs. So you can see here, media is still playing, and you can jump back into it, stop it, and switch between different applications. Very nice and very simple to use. Now, as far as the device information, you'll notice here that is the 4056W. That's going to be the actual version of the software. Hardware is version 3.0, software is KaiOS 3.0, and this is the build number that we have here, SF61UM10. Now, the other thing as far as the shortcuts here, on the left, we have the pre-configured shortcuts here. If I swipe to the right, it takes us into the camera. But if I swipe to the top, you'll notice I get into the toggle. So we have Bluetooth, data connection, brightness, Wi-Fi, as well as the ability of turning on directly into the camera and configuring the actual volume on the device. You'll also notice that the fluidity of the UI element is very nice, definitely an improvement over KaiOS 2.0. I did mention to you guys at the beginning that we do not have the Google Assistant. We also don't have speech-to-text functionality here. And that's something that still exists on the KaiOS running here, the 2.5. So there's some things that we still need to wait for that to update. So essentially, the only input methods that we have right now is either predictive text, which is T9 essentially, or the tapping mechanism. So we'll go ahead and start typing here, Alex Scrindo. So I'll just go ahead, A-L-E-X. So we'll notice right there, Alex. And then at this point, it's going to be a little bit hard to type in the word Scrindo because I don't think that's a regular English word. You press and hold here on the bottom right number, and we notice that we have English, we have ABC, lowercase, then we can jump into, I guess, higher case, uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and of course predictive. And of course we can go in and it gives us some more additional options in here. So I'm going to go ahead and pick our Alex Scrindo song, our favorite song to play on this channel. So we'll go ahead and pick that in there. I'm going to play the volume all the way to 100%. All of the configuration interface buttons here are going to be directly on the main screen. So you are able to watch YouTube and listen to it in a much better experience by going for it and watching it basically in full screen. So this gets us to the closest resolution of a 16:9, although we do notice that there's still a little bit of a lettering. The touchpad here is pretty much the same. You can raise and lower the volume by going right and left. And of course, we're able to basically hit play and pause. And of course, hit the back button and then go back in here. So YouTube plays well exactly the way you expected. One thing to mention though, that is Google Maps does not do essentially navigation style driving. It'll give you basically the steps, as in where you're going. It'll give you the location and of course all the steps that you need to do. We have a standard Google search as well. So all of these things are very nice. And of course, the speaker sound looks good. Let me go ahead and give you a quick sample of course, how does the video show up from the Alcatel Go Flip 4. This is going to be a quick sample of the audio and video that you should be expecting from the Go Flip 4. This is obviously going to be limited to in certain aspect as far as the resolution. We have low, medium, and high as far as the settings, but it doesn't actually specify the resolution. Although I'm predicting it being about roughly 480p. The field of view, obviously, it'll be a little bit easier if you're trying to use this to film as opposed to being the subject. And there's no way really of seeing how we are. I'm pretty much centering myself to the center of where the camera is, and hopefully I'm in good frame. Okay, now that we've gone through all of the technical information, and as you saw, the video is about 480p resolution. It's not going to be recording great pictures or videos realistically. This is intended to be more of a casual shooter. So it's a 2 megapixel camera, and as long as you're very steady when you're taking a picture and there's enough light, you should be able to take some decent pictures as I'm showing you right now. But if the subject even remotely shows any movement, like I was trying to take a picture of my son, unfortunately it just becomes a little bit hazy. And if there's any low light, unfortunately that also kind of does not help the experience here. But at the end of the day, I don't really feel like that's really a reason why people buy a flip phone these days. What you're getting here is the core basic services, Wi-Fi calling, 4G LTE, tethering, as well as the ability of checking your email, using YouTube, using Google Maps, although it's more of a turn-by-turn functionality, not actual navigation. Again, in a flip phone, in literally about $100 paid out. There's no installments or anything. This is literally the experience you're getting there. Now, the improvements over last year, I feel like still justify the price increase from 60 to about 100. KaiOS 3.0 does have some limitations because it hasn't been fully integrated, or at least all of the applications that supported KaiOS 2.5 or 2.0 haven't really been fully upgraded here. An example, Facebook is not here as an application, the Google Assistant's not there, we don't have access to WhatsApp. Those are things that I've used and I know that work on the Go Flip 3. So it's probably more of a timing or however long it takes for those applications to be brought over. Call quality is really good. Speakerphone is also pretty decent. I like the fact that the phone actually has a bigger opening on the actual, when you open the phone, as it actually raises the speakerphone from the table a little bit more, providing us with a little bit more of a louder experience. The toggles, the buttons are all there. I love the new shortcut buttons that they added under the jog dial, just making it a little bit more functional. And at the end of the day, this is literally somewhat of a broken down version of Android. So KaiOS is typically what you see on flip phones. We see this from other companies as well. But Alcatel has been doing it really good. Currently available, as I mentioned to you guys, on T-Mobile and of course Metro PCS, but it should be coming up to other carriers hopefully in the near future. So keep an eye out, and hopefully you guys will definitely see more information on what Alcatel and KaiOS are bringing to us. Let me know what you guys think of the brand new Flip 4 from Alcatel. I know it's a flip phone. I know it's not a smartphone. And just a little bit of a teaser, this is literally going to be my son's first phone. I'm actually going to be activating his own line, and he'll be able to use it. We'll configure the speed dials for calls, access to text messaging, email, and so on. All of these things that I really value are going to be here, and it's going to be the core experience that's going to introduce him to smartphones or even phones in general, as this is literally his first phone. Like and subscribe as usual. Thank you very much for the support. Thank you to Alcatel for allowing me to check out the Go Flip 4, as well as TCL for letting me check out the S600, because seriously, between these two, you barely have to actually do anything. You can answer and hang up calls directly from your Bluetooth headset. It has a decent range. You can listen to music. It does not have the assistant, so there's no way of initiating it here. But all of the other functionalities that the S600 provide us are definitely really good here. And of course, you can customize some of these experiences and download additional apps straight from the KaiOS App Store, as they do have additional ones coming in. I'll see you in the next video.